Welcome to the Bliss Code podcast, where we unlock the secrets to your ideal lifestyle. I'm Jamie Drew, your guide on this transformative journey. Whether you're seeking balance, ambition, or pure bliss, remember, every episode brings us one step closer to cracking the code. Together, let's decode your dreams and elevate your everyday. Ready? Let's dive into the formula. Hey girl, so I had to sit down with my sister. She is my very first podcast guest, and she is a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and she specializes in gut health. So in my family, she is the go-to person for really everything that ails us. We call her like, Kayla, my stomach's rumbling. Kayla, I'm burping too much. Kayla, I'm getting too fat. Kayla, I have acid reflux. I mean, you name it, when it comes to diet and nutrition, we are asking her. She is dealing with patients all day, every day who have a number of issues, and she's really, really passionate about what she does. And I just thought, what a great person to have as the first guest on my podcast, since we know that nutrition and your lifestyle and really becoming the best version of yourself all go hand in hand. So take a listen and enjoy this chat with me and my sissy. Okay, so I have my sister with me today, and I'm so excited
Hi.
about this.
Me too. It's really fun.
Yes, I cannot wait. And so my sister is Kayla Hopkins, and Kayla is a registered dietitian. You got to tell the people like all of your, because you guys, she has so many letters behind her name. Why am I holding the phone up, acting like I'm talking in the phone?
I thought that was your microphone.
No, I don't know what's wrong with me right now. Like, I guess I'm so used to being on the phone with you that I'm acting like we're on speaker.
Okay, we're starting off strong. So the reason I have so many letters behind my name is because there's so many different credentialing points that dietitians have to get. I don't think people realize that. It's like anyone can say they're a nutritionist or know about nutrition or whatever, but to be a dietitian, now you have to have a master's degree. So that's the MS. Then you have to become registered after you do an internship. That's about a year long. That's the registered dietitian nutritionist part, RDN. And then the LDN or the LD is licensed. So then you have to be then licensed in whatever city that you're practicing or state that you're practicing in.
Okay, so you got to be like serious about this, like true to this.
Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy because it even applies to like if you are in a state or a city that's bordering another state, you can't just give advice to patients in that state. You have to be licensed in that state.
Okay, so it's like a therapist too, because I know they have to go through
Yeah,
that, don't they?
yeah, yeah. And it depends on the state, but I think California you don't have to be licensed, but there's a few states that have that rule too. But here in North Carolina, you do.
So you are a registered dietitian. So you are like the expert in telling people, I guess, the best way to eat for them, maybe, right?
Yes, the best way to eat for them, not the perfect way to eat, period. But yes, the best way to eat for them. My specialty is digestive health and gastroenterology. So I work in a gastroenterology clinic with doctors, nurse practitioners, and physician assistants. And I get referrals from them to see their patients. So my entire patient population right now are all patients that have digestive disease diagnoses. It's kind of a tongue tie, but yeah. So anything from irritable bowel syndrome to celiac disease to, everything pretty much under the sun related to the gut. That is what I see.
And I know you love it.
Yeah, I do. It's fun because I like the medical side of it, how it's both medical and nutrition sort of holistic at the same time. It's like the best of both worlds because I get to focus on treatment of a diagnosis as opposed to just general nutrition, which is still fun too. But this gives us like a more clear goal that is satisfying.
Yeah. Okay, so it's really cool to hear you talking about all of this stuff because of course we're sisters, and thinking of you like as a little girl and just like us growing up in life together, it's so strange to see you like doing your grown woman thing, you know?
Really? Well, yeah, well, I get it's weird that you say that because me being the little sister,
Mhm.
it feels I guess I don't really think about how you have literally seen me from a baby to now. So yeah, I guess that would be weird. That's how I feel about Zay. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
weird.
I
To
was
see
telling
that.
him the other day that like people used to think that you were my baby and stuff like that. That's so strange. Oh,
Yeah, good
goodness.
times.
Good times. I wanna get through these, like, I have this list of prepared questions and stuff like that. So, I don't know, I just feel like this is gonna be
Okay.
really fun. So, let's go. Let's see what we got.
Okay.
So growing up, were there any early signs that both of you would venture into fields of transformation and nutrition? I know I remember for you, and I'm sure you remember these stories, like you having video games where you would cook. Do you remember that? It
Yeah,
was
I
like a
did have
game where you
that.
would flip eggs and sizzle bacon and stuff like that.
Yeah, I did have that, and it's weird because I didn't think that that would apply to nutrition. I don't know if I was trying to be a chef or what I was
Mhm.
trying to do, but I was always fascinated with at least food. And
Yeah.
then I think the older I got and the more education I received, okay, food plus medicine. That's
Yeah.
kind of how it transpired. But I don't know. I don't think I ever thought as a kid about, well, one, I didn't know what a dietitian was.
Mhm.
So I didn't even know it was a job, which is cool that it existed. But um yeah, I guess those things and then wanting to be in some sort of place where I'm speaking because I also used to pretend that I was a newscaster as
Wait,
well.
I don't remember
Um
that.
yeah, I used to get remember the penny saver? Like the newspaper,
Yeah,
the penny saver?
yeah.
So we used to get those and like mommy would save them because I would sit at the kitchen table like with no audience whatsoever and like read from the penny saver and act like I was a newscaster.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is hilarious. How do we both get this newscaster gene? Because I swore I was a journalist
Oh,
growing up too.
yeah, I don't know what that is about.
That
I
had to
guess
be
mommy?
mommy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
gosh. Okay.
goodness.
So I think we should be very upfront with your listeners and let them know that the longer we talk, we typically sync up. Like we should have a disclaimer
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
because
Because I just
eventually we
saw
will
us
sync up.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we tend to say the same thing at the same time the longer we talk. So just disclaimer on
Uh-huh.
that. But yeah, we have a lot of good memories, but, I don't think I thought about nutrition really seriously until I got to college.
Yeah, I know, that your major was public health at first,
Yeah.
so you chose that, and somehow it ended up being, well, I guess when you went for your master's, it being more specific when you more narrowed it down.
Yes, and that was just from a Google search, by the way. So once I did my bachelor's in public health at University of South Carolina, I didn't know what I wanted to do after that, so I just Googled like food, nutrition, medical, treatment, whatever, and then
Like all the things you
literally,
wanted to do.
yeah, and then that's how it. I saw dietitian, nutritionist, and then I saw the schools around me that had that degree. And so I was like, "Okay, I'll do that." So it was as simple as that. So thankfully, there was a school near me. That's how I got to Winthrop for my master's, and that was the
Yeah.
human nutrition where I got to really focus on it.
Why didn't I even know this Google story? That's so funny. Let's see what else comes
I
out.
don't know. I know. I just assumed that you know all this, but it's funny, I don't know.
There's so much to know about a person, you know? You never stop
Yeah,
learning stuff about a person, no matter what your
that's true.
relationship with them is. All
Yeah,
right, so
that's
you
true.
know that I like, okay, not only do I like to talk about like health and wellness and women's empowerment, I have like all these topics rolled into one, you know, that I just
Yeah,
love. And I love to talk about quantum physics. So,
okay.
um, I want to talk about what you think about quantum physics and all of that relating to food. Like, you know how some people say like food is energy
Mhm.
and um you know also on the thought of leaping, when will we get to the point where we can like come into a newer reality where the food is healthier? So like it's kind of like a
Yeah.
two-part question, like thinking of food as fuel, and with that being said, having it be like the right food, like us thinking of food the right way.
Yeah, so food is fuel. We can get really scientific about that, but basically our food gives us the energy to do the daily activities that we need to get done, all of that good stuff. But I think as far as making sure that the foods that you're choosing are working for you, I think the best option were is to kind of get more intuitive about how you feel after a meal or how you feel overall. Do you feel like your food is really serving you in a way that makes you feel energized, makes you feel um healthy, not light and not weighed down and stuff like that. That's one
Mhm.
way. But I think sometimes that way of thinking can get a bit convoluted because I think a lot of people have different needs, which again is why I like sort of the treatment approach as to treating a symptom or treating a something specific as opposed to creating a quote perfect diet for someone. But I mean, I think yes, to the second part of the question, you can change your life by changing your diet because you sort of change your habits. That's a habit change. So with any habit
Yes.
change, you can change everything. I mean, just your route to work, whether you stop through a fast food drive-through and you eat on the way to work, as opposed to you prepping your breakfast and bringing it with you, things are going to be different. You're going to maybe have a different traffic pattern. You might get to work earlier and have more time to relax before you start your activities. Those are all sorts of different things that could be surrounded by food that can make life work better for you.
You are saying so many things, like you are hitting so many buttons with me because the first thing you said was, how is this meal making you feel? And I know a lot of people don't check into that. It's like,
Hmm.
have you ever heard when people are talking about somatic exercises or somatic therapy? There's this whole trend right now where it's like,
No.
where we stop and think about how we feel. And I did the exercise one time after listening to a
Mhm.
podcast, and I had never done this before. And it's basically like you tune into your body whenever you have, say, for instance, what I was working with is feeling like, okay, I want to go and eat. And I
Okay.
did this somatic, whatever exercise. Basically, I stopped and thought. That's what it is. Stop and check in with your body. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
am I hungry? And then I stood there for a second and I was like, actually, I'm not. I
Right.
am bored. Let me go
Mhm.
and do something. And I had never done that before because it's like you'll be on your way to the kitchen, on your way to the refrigerator, like, let me get a snack. Like, it's such a cozy
Yeah.
day, or whatever that thought is, like, oh, the movie's on, let me get a snack, or whatever it is. You have these little
Mhm.
associations. And in that moment, I was like, dang, actually, I'm not hungry. I'm bored. And it just forced me to think of, okay, well, what else can I do? Which was a really cool opportunity to like check in with
Yeah.
myself and go into something else, which also brings me to another point you made, which is like, yes, doing that can make quantum leaps and quantum leap you into a different reality because you start changing your habits. And you were
Yeah.
talking, you I didn't even consider, you were like, oh, you might run into a different traffic pattern. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, your whole life could be changed. Like your whole pattern of realities, every step that you take to get somewhere and where you arrive can be shifted by these little
Oh yeah.
micro decisions, by one decision to make breakfast.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Have you
crazy.
seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes, you told me about that.
Yeah, that's like a perfect example. It's like a crazy, probably over exaggerated example, but like that's a perfect example of how changing very small decisions in your life could like make huge, huge differences in your future.
Yeah,
So I
I
definitely
forgot
think that
about
food's
that.
part of that. Yeah.
Yes, that movie was so good. I was so glad you told me about it.
It won like 7 Oscars. I
It
realized
did?
that this morning. Yeah.
Why were you
7.
looking it up this morning?
It was just I was just scrolling through different things to watch, and on, Prime, you can see what awards movies have won as you scroll
Mhm,
through them, and
mhm.
it just said at the top, 7 Oscars. I was like, "Wow, that's a lot." I remember it getting an Oscar, but not
Dang.
7. So, yeah, I
Okay,
think a lot of people liked it, but
I like that.
yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's
Okay.
see. Explore the philosophy behind diets and how they miss the mark. The importance of adopting a holistic lifestyle change rather than quick fixes. I know you and I both agree on this. This is like one thing, like sometimes we have like the clash of the specialties when we're both trying to
Yeah.
advise our mother. but
Yes.
but like I know we both agree that quick fixes are not where it's at,
Yeah.
and we really don't believe in the D word, diets. We believe
Okay. Right, right.
in having a diet but not
Yeah.
going on a diet.
Exactly, where you feel over restricted and deprived, and your reasoning for doing it has nothing to do with your actual body makeup or maybe your lab values or certain things physically that you're trying to work on specifically. It's just you might have heard about something that worked for someone else and you try it. And that's where it can get into the yo-yo dieting and the danger zone of diet culture.
Mm,
So I'm very big on realistic goals, setting realistic goals for my patients, and also knowing that there's no perfect diet out there. You
right.
know, it just depends. Everything always depends. So, um, one thing that I'm thinking about is the popularity of superfoods.
Yes.
So, I have sort of a love hate relationship with this trend because yes, so things like this become popular because they are true and they aren't true at the same time. So yes, it is true that there are certain fruits and certain vegetables that have higher nutritional value than others. There are certain fruits and certain vegetables that have better fibers in them that are better for gut health and have better natural probiotics in them and fibers that help things move along in the gut and etc. Um, but that doesn't make them super, you know, to where if you just have one particular food, if you ate a bowl of blueberries 3 times a day, it would just solve all your problems. We as the human body are so much more complicated than just that. So yes, it has to do with food, but it also has to do with your sleep, your stress levels, certain anxieties in life, all sorts of other things that could be going on. So yes, there are foods that are more nutritious than others, but there's not one superior food out of all the others, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. And I love it because that's the same thing that I think. It's like, yes, this food is great, but with you being a whole person, those blueberries might not be able to come in and save the day like you think they're going to. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, this is my prescription. I've been prescribed with blueberries. Then let me go pop them and it's going to fix everything that ails me. And I
Yeah.
think that's why sometimes people think, better nutrition, quote unquote, doesn't work for them because they're not doing the whole shebang and they're expecting a miracle and a quick fix. They're expecting that to be the end all be all when they're not looking at the other, even sometimes obvious things that are going on in their
Yeah.
lives.
Right. Right. So it's a part of a bigger picture. It's not the sole solution. I don't think anything is really, everything has to work together. Even if you slept 12 hours a day, but then you woke up and ate junk food and were super stressed out and then went back to sleep for another 12 hours, yeah, you're getting a lot of sleep, but what else is going on? So everything
Right.
has to kind of fit. So and it's challenging because my patient population deals with a lot of quality of life affecting symptoms, um, related to their digestive health and digestive habits. So they really want something to just make it stop, and they're willing to do anything. And unfortunately, sometimes they end up um, seeing other providers that maybe do not have that in mind, where they don't have the whole picture, and they say, okay, don't eat dairy and all your problems will be solved. So, I just try my best to first listen to where the patient is. Yes, it is very important to adopt a holistic lifestyle change, but the only way we can do that is to first listen. So, before I start throwing out recommendations, I always like to ask my patient what their goals are, get a full dietary recall: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, weekends, weekday, beverages, just everything that they're currently doing right now. And then, based on research, clinical studies of what has been proven to make improvements on certain symptoms, that's what we try.
So you're saying, wow, this is really like you're giving boutique vibes, girl, because it's like this is a
Oh,
customized plan for
that's
you.
how it should be, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all for sure.
Wow. Okay. I really like that. And that's something that you taught me too, is that everything is not for everyone and you have to
Yeah,
understand people's individual needs. So I definitely get that. There's definitely certain foods that you want to keep in heavier rotation and some that you don't, just
right.
period.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
as far as the specific mix of it all, it's highly individual.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where you can't trust a diet because it's just a plan that may work for someone.
Right, or the quick fixes, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, the quick
Or
fixes.
just work temporarily, it's not a whole
Mm.
lifestyle change, which is different too.
Right, like, so it's like, because I know you talked to me before about, like, the keto diet and stuff like that, and it's just like you were saying some diets are not meant to be done long term or forever. They're for a specific goal, for a specific period of
Right.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, the ketogenic diet is designed for it was created for epilepsy patients, to help prevent frequent seizures, but the side
Did not
effect
know that.
that people have discovered is that it helps with weight loss. because it
Oh.
converts your body into ketosis, which encourages your body to use fat as a primary energy source instead of glucose or carbohydrates that it usually prefers doing. Um,
So they were
so
like,
yeah,
oops, we found a diet, just like this Ozempic stuff. Like, oops, we found a way to help you
yeah,
lose weight.
yeah, which is a huge issue. We are seeing a lot of patients who are on those drugs that have all sorts of GI symptoms as well as side effects. So that's going to be a huge issue, I think, in the future. But yeah, I think that's how a lot of these fad diets happen or these quick fixes
Mm-hmm.
happen. It's on accident. And unfortunately, a lot of them work temporarily, but they're
Right.
just not sustainable. So then that's where the problem lies.
Wow. Because the person, thinks this is going to be what's going to help them, but they don't realize that the diet is almost like for an acute situation. It's almost like
Right.
having a headache and just taking an Advil for life. It's like, are you going to see why
Why?
you have a headache?
Exactly. Like, let's probably find the origin of the headache and then you
And
won't
then
have
don't you
one. Yeah.
realize now some other stuff is going to be messed up?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Moving along. So how can global lifestyle philosophies like wabi sabi, and I don't know if you've ever heard of these, Huga, Blue Zone Living, and Pura Vida integrate into a balanced nutritional lifestyle? Are there specific diets or eating habits from around the world that align with these philosophies? So, like, basically, what this question is saying, so some of these concepts that I like to talk about or like to study, they have a certain way of living or a certain way of viewing life. And I think that they do relate
Hmm.
to these philosophical concepts, right? So, one is
Yeah.
wabi sabi, which is like realizing that things are imperfect and embracing life's imperfections,
Okay.
and also knowing that everything is impermanent and will get withered and worn. So maybe kind of end our
Okay.
obsession with the fountain of youth.
Hmm.
So, and then Hugo, which is kind of like living like a cozy, relaxed lifestyle.
I have heard of that one. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And that's been very popular, like in the media. And so
Yeah.
has Blue Zones lately.
Right. Yeah. And it's crazy because I think a lot of times what makes things popular is when there's a series about them. Because that's just what we look at nowadays. But yeah, I heard about, and I really don't want to butcher how that's pronounced. I really hope it's pronounced
What?
Hugie. Is it Hugie?
Oh, it's like Huga.
Oh, Huga. Okay.
Girl, yeah, it's a
Um,
hard one.
I love that. That I really like. If
Mhm.
I if it's like you said, cozy living. To me, it just helps reduce all unnecessary stressors that we don't necessarily realize are stressing us out in our
Yes.
view or in our
Yes.
environment. Um, so this is a little bit, I mean, it's sort of related. Well, it could be related to nutrition, but um, if you have a cluttered refrigerator, you're probably going to have a hard time selecting healthful foods to choose. Or if
Oh, I didn't think
there's,
about that.
yeah, or, and I don't know all the components of it, but I know it's just all about soft textures, not fluorescent lighting and like soft lighting and just
Yeah.
helping reduce stress.
Candle lighting, like in natural lighting.
Yeah, I think that's
Mhm.
great. I like
I
it.
think
And
so
Blue Zone
too.
Living for sure. Blue
Yes.
Zone Living is excellent. There's tons of research on the Okinawans in Japan and how they live the longest and their diet and but you know what? I find that a lot of these different diets for people who live long, they are mostly plant-based diets, but they also are mostly just whole food diets.
Right. Kayla.
Yeah.
That's the trick right there. Cause like, yes, it's plant-based, which is like a lot of it. Like, we're going to
Mhm.
admit it has a lot to do with it. But people don't
Yeah.
realize that it's not just about, and this is the same thing I say about like being vegan. It's like, it's not just about being vegan because Oreos are
Mhm.
vegan. Like, you can eat all the, it's about like making your food instead of having already
Right.
processed food. That's the trick
Right.
right there. These people are making fresh bread and making fresh
Yeah.
pasta.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah,
Without
eliminating all room
additives.
for error. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know how long it's gonna take for uh certain companies to get used to the fact that people are starting to understand preservatives and additives and all that, and
Mhm.
be better about either not using them or better marketing that this product contains XYZ and use caution if you have whatever ailment. But yeah, I think that is probably the key to a lot of different things. I just can't prove it yet. A lot of different ailments that are unexplained, certain
Mhm.
autoimmune disorders, certain gastrointestinal disorders, skin things, just any medical thing that does not have a, medical diagnosis that does not have a clear origin. You never know. That's why it's helpful to look at what other countries are doing who do not have certain chronic diseases that we have here in the United States. What's
Right.
their diet like? What's their lifestyle like?
Right. And I think and with me studying these things, of course I love them, but one thing about, I mean, and that I'm trying to, and especially like, having the audience listen to people like you and just other people that I try to associate myself with, is try to like bring back some of the new age into these, in this age old wisdom, because you look at
Mhm.
documentaries and stuff like the Blue Zone and you're like, this is a bunch of old people with old ways, you know.
Yeah, the grannies. The grannies making
Yeah, and
pasta.
it's like, okay, but they were living in a different time, and they're not using all this modern stuff that we're doing, and then even, I'm going to be honest, looking at it from an American standpoint, or anybody living in North America, because we only
Mhm.
have one Blue Zone in America, and it's really because of their religious preference that is helping them to be in the health status that they're in, because they live a lifestyle of these particular habits. But with the
Oh, wait,
exception,
who?
so okay, Loma Linda, California is the only Blue Zone in
Mm,
the United States.
Loma Linda. I've heard of that.
Yeah. And the reason
Okay.
heavily for theirs is because they're Seventh-day Adventists. But
Oh.
it's not only their religion, it's how they behave because of their religion. The foods they
Mm.
partake in, how important community is to them, stuff like
Oh,
that. It's
okay.
their way of life. So
Mm,
it's a
okay.
community within a community. It's not about, oh, you live in this part of California. It's like, no, you're a Seventh-day Adventist that lives in Loma Linda, California. It's that population
Oh,
who is bringing it
yeah.
home. So the
Yeah.
other ones are where people are living in, you know, poverty that we can't understand. Like, we think people over here in America are living in poverty or whatever, but poverty, things that
Mhm.
a way of life that we can't relate to, where they really work a
Yeah.
lot with their hands. They're not going into an office, they're not driving a car. And it's sometimes people can look at it and feel like it's unrelatable. And I want to
Yeah.
bring the relatability back to it and find little elements, or put like a little modern twist on it, in a way that we can just incorporate this into our modern daily lives. And I like
Mhm.
that you mentioned Hugo, because it's like we can just unplug for a second. Like, that is the way to do it,
Yeah.
is to, and bring the cool, because I like when I'm doing my Hugo vibes, I'm definitely throwing on lo-fi. So it's like
Yeah, I love
sometimes
lo-fi
you got to
music.
bring new age vibes into it to make it feel modern.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's ways to do that with food, just learning a little bit more, taking cooking classes, for example, where you can make your own breads or your own pasta or your own dishes that require individual ingredients and nothing that's pre-made. So I think it's just learning too,
Yeah.
just learning, oh, that's easier than I thought it was.
What do you tell those people that say they don't have time for all that? Like, I do not have time to live this holistic lifestyle, okay?
Oh, well, I guess I would break it down maybe piece by piece. So instead of focusing on the bigger picture, let's just focus on what can we do at lunchtime,
Oh,
perhaps.
that's
You
good.
know, just break it all the way down to the fine print and say, okay, um, can we ingredient prep, perhaps? Maybe take 2 hours on Sunday while your
Mhm.
husband is watching football and prep some rice or and some mixed veggies. And here's like a nice frozen, which frozen veggies are perfectly fine that you can steam quickly, you can saute quickly or microwave, just use your air fryer. I mean,
Yeah.
there's multiple ways we can go about it. But I think that initial resistance just comes from just thinking that it's harder than it is. So
Right. Right.
I find that when my patients say things like that, we have to just break it down minute by minute, like meal by meal,
Yeah.
to
I
make
think
it
that's really
seem more
helpful.
doable.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
everybody can't go like cold turkey and and basically
Yeah.
start living an entire different life. I mean, you want to talk about quantum leap, living an entire different life than what they were living before. I mean, some people eat
Yeah.
fast food every single meal of the day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's just the way they roll. So
Yeah.
having them to start incorporate more whole foods and more things that they have to prepare into their own lives every day is can be really difficult for them. I mean, for
But you know what
anybody.
helps? What what helps with that is seeing some sort of a result or some sort of an improvement with a
Hmm.
problem that they're having. So if transforming their life, they can start to actually see differences. People start to take notice. They get that job that they wanted, or they start that business that they've been trying to do. It's successful. Or if it's for me, their digestive health symptoms get better, or maybe they lose a couple pounds if that's their goal, or
Yeah,
gain a couple if that's their goal. I think that's really all that it takes for somebody to continue with the lifestyle change is just some sort of proof
yeah,
that it's working.
yeah. I agree. I agree. Um, have you heard of mindful eating?
I have, but I feel like it could just mean so many different things depending on the context.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I think of mindful eating, I'm thinking of, well, I guess you're right, because there's a couple of ways you can consider mindful eating, right? You can think of mindful
Mhm.
eating as in mindful eating as a whole, like your whole way of eating, meaning
Mhm.
how you grocery shop, like from the beginning, like being intentional with what you buy, the whole process of your eating habits. Or you can think of it
Mhm.
as like when I'm eating this meal mindfully, meaning more slowly. Something I've been working on, which I learned how to do, was put my fork down in between bites. All of
Yeah.
those things can be really helpful. What do you think about just like little techniques like that? Or are there any other just very small habit-based techniques that you can think of like that you really like?
I would say I would say my favorite is eliminating distractions while eating. It also just depends on what the goal is. So if you're finding that y- you're having lots of stomach pain or you're very gassy or bloated after every single meal, well, you're probably accidentally swallowing air during that
Mm,
meal because you're eating too quickly and not paying attention. So I would just say eliminating distractions, like bring back sitting at your table and eating your meal. Look out the window, like look at a bird fly by, or talk to someone who is in your home with you, as opposed to music on, TV on, phone in one hand, fork in the other. Because in my world, everything pretty much is how can I make this symptom better, you know? And once
Oh,
we go through diet, once we go through the components of the diet to eliminate highly gas producing foods or certain foods that have lots of artificial sugars or certain oils that can produce a lot of GI upset, then we go into the more habit based behaviors around eating. Um, so that would probably be my favorite. And then or my second favorite would be chewing your food really well, which we just totally have stopped doing, I think, as adults. So I mean, apparently you're supposed to chew your food a certain ridiculous amount of
I've
time, but it
heard
shouldn't
like
be 20.
32 times.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that many, but that's the ideal. But I mean, at least I mean, I there's been meals where I chew like twice and swallow it. Like, I mean, I don't like
Like a
you have to like
dog.
and like have you ever had a time where you're eating a meal and like you're swallowing, you're like, dang, like like you can't even like get it down, like, oh
Yeah.
shoot, or like it's a chip that like cuts on the way down. You're like, oh, I probably should have chewed that more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those are probably my two favorite.
Okay. And I know that, I mean, speaking of mindful eating, that somebody's mindset has a lot to do with what they're going through sometimes, as far as whatever their nutritional issues are. It's like you know how they talk about the mind gut connection.
Yeah.
And I mean, is this just something, the mind gut connection? Is this just something that people that are in the mindset space talk about, or do people that are in your space, in the traditional health space, is that a frequent conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for that reason, we have a GI psychologist that works at my clinic.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because it's very much related. So, and there's so many books on it and things like that. But in the world of irritable bowel syndrome, for example, or IBS, there is so much related to anxiety and stressors that contribute to exacerbation of symptoms. So we have our patients see our GI psychologist to help with that relationship between the mind and the gut. So a couple
Mm.
examples that I always give my patients. Oh, like if you see someone that you haven't seen in a while, you might get butterflies in your stomach. Or
Mhm.
if it's a job interview, you might get butterflies in your stomach. Or you might feel like you need to use the restroom. Or on the flip side of that, if something terrible happens, your appetite might go away for a day or two. So this is all because of our um our nervous system exists within the gut. So there's a lot going on,
Mm.
and I don't want to butcher it, but um there is a connection there. And so I think managing stress levels and managing your mindset and learning how to approach certain situations and being mindful about your attitude towards food and towards your meals, that helps and changes the way you digest them, like literally.
Right.
So um yeah, it's a big part of the conversation. Probably more in academic clinics, like 'cause it's considered an academic hospital that I work for. So
Okay.
they do a lot more research with those things. But yeah, it's certainly something that we talk about in GI. I don't know about the other specialties, but
Mhm.
very popular in GI.
And are patients surprised when they hear about this? Like, what does the general population know about this?
No, I don't think they are surprised because they typically can remember a time where they had a bad IBS day, for example, whether they couldn't go have a bowel movement or they had too many, and it was a very stressful day. They can almost
Mm.
always make a connection. So it's rare that we'll get a patient to where when we bring that subject up, they're like, "Oh," and they're offended. I have had a few, but they're like, "There's absolutely no connection." It's very rare. So they're very aware of the impact. I actually don't think they know how much often. Often they don't know
Mhm.
how much it's affecting them, but they're aware of it for sure. At
Wow.
least where I am. So
Yeah.
it could depend on location as well.
So, what are some misconceptions that you get frequently about health, diet, nutrition? Let's bust a couple of myths up in here. What you got for me?
Okay. My absolute favorite that I like talking about is whether or not you need a probiotic.
Oh, okay.
So, probiotics exist naturally in fermented foods, and certain fruits and vegetables. So they are good gut bacteria that exists inside of our digestive system naturally, and they help with all sorts of bodily processes within the digestive tract. Now, the probiotic industry, which when I say that I'm referring to the pill form,
Okay.
is a billion-dollar business. And I think that it's not indicated to be on a probiotic every single day. Here are some situations where you should take a probiotic. If you just had food poisoning, you probably should take a probiotic for about 14 to 30 days, whether 2 weeks
Oh,
to a month, and
it's
then
that
stop.
extreme. Okay.
Um, but it's not even every day. There are, I mean, and some people take probiotics every day and have no symptoms and say it helps them, which is great. But for my patients that are still having all these symptoms, that's one of the first things that I take away, because a lot of times you don't need them long term. Another situation where would want to take a probiotic is if you were just on an antibiotic. That makes sense. So you were just on an antibiotic for whatever infection or whatever reason, and you want to restore your gut bacteria that was just eliminated by the antibiotic. So then you take a probiotic probably for the same amount of time that you took the antibiotic, and then stop it. Now, the reason that this is a myth is because, one, these, vitamins and supplements are not regulated. So they can say they put whatever in them, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in them. And then there's some of these probiotics have like billions and trillions of strains of bacteria, and we just don't have the research quite yet to know exactly what they do. If they're live, if they're not, there's just too many question marks. And the side effect is a lot of the times nausea and gas with my patients that take very high strength probiotics that don't need them. So that's a big one.
So basically, you telling me that I need to throw those probiotics away that's in my medicine cabinet.
I don't think you need them every single day. Just
I
like I
haven't
don't
been
think,
taking them.
yeah, just I don't think you need them every single day. Just like I don't necessarily believe you need to take a multivitamin every single day,
Oh,
depending on the type of diet that you follow. Now, if you're someone who doesn't like fruits and vegetables and just does not eat them, yeah, you probably want to take a multivitamin. But if you follow a general healthful diet, 2, 3 times a week, I think is appropriate.
wow. Okay, hold on. You're blowing my mind right now. No multivitamin every single day if you've got a pretty good diet. Definitely no probiotics unless you've had, basically, it sounds like you need them acutely,
Yeah.
never daily, never daily long term. Whew, okay. Do you have any more? I don't know if I can handle any more.
Now, I mean, also remember my scope is a little bit unique because I see people who are having issues.
Okay, that's true.
So this is not, I probably should have led with that. This is coming from someone who sees patients who are having issues related to their gut and then take a bunch of stuff to try to fix it. But really,
Yeah.
that stuff that they take probably worsens it. So I'm not talking about your general helpful person who just wants to add some supplements, a vitamin here, a vitamin there to their diet. I mean, I think that's fine. But if you're having other issues that are unexplained, taking
Mhm.
away those things is the first thing that I do, basically, because they're not
Mhm.
necessary.
Well, they
Um,
kind of market it to us, especially like the probiotics that basically
mhm.
it's going to help slim you down. It's like, oh, maybe the reason you have a fat stomach is because you have this bacteria that needs to be released, or maybe the reason that you're gassy is because you need a probiotic, or maybe the reason anything that's going on in your stomach region, this magical probiotic pill can fix it. Because I hear about this everywhere and it really is enticing. And you start to think,
Yeah.
oh, this is the magical blend. You start to think in your mind that you need it. And this supplement is everywhere. I mean, they even have them like, at Smoothie King and stuff like that. And you start to think, well, I want to be healthy, because that's what I'm thinking.
Mhm.
I want to be healthy, and I don't eat perfectly every single day. Should I be adding these things? That's what you think.
I mean, I think it's okay if you're not having any other strange symptoms. But no, it does not cause weight loss, and no, it's not the if you have a bacteria that needs to be released, like to that point, why would you then want to take a pill with like 2, 3 billion more bacteria?
Because they talk about like the good gut bacteria and the bad gut bacteria. You have heard these things. I know you've heard
Right?
these.
But you can also have you can also have too many bacteria.
Well, I mean, I guess that's true. Um, but we just don't know. We just hear it and we think that the probiotic bacteria is going to be the bacteria to come in and maybe save the day and fight the other bacteria or something. I don't know. It's like the
Yeah.
probiotic army is going to come in and save the day. And I know I'm exaggerating, but really, this is kind of how it starts to feel. And they really play on our insecurities. And I even feel this, even somebody that's in the wellness industry. It's like I have to sift through this information, especially so that I can bring what I find to be the most correct information to my audience. So a
Mhm.
lot of times I don't talk about it, or I'm just saying, okay, I won't say specifically unless I know. But even supplements like vitamin D, like when you see these articles that are like most people aren't getting enough vitamin D, and black
Yeah,
people's
I would say
skin can't absorb the vitamin D. And I'm like, oh my God, and vegans need to take vitamin B12, and magnesium
so
is good for you.
my answer to that would be my answer to that would be get your labs checked.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's how you get through all of that fluff. Just go get your labs checked, ask your doctor for a full nutrition profile, have them check your vitamin D, check your vitamin B12, and see where your levels are. And if they're low,
Mm,
supplement them. If you don't want to use a supplement, then increase your intake of the food sources of whatever vitamin that you're deficient of.
okay.
But some vitamins need to be supplemented in large quantities for you to store them. So for example, iron, a lot of people suffer with anemia or iron deficiency. You do typically have to supplement iron for a short amount of time so it can build back up before you go back to eating iron rich foods. So, I would say instead of loading up on pills, to first check your labs. And if everything looks
I like that.
fine, just know everything else is just on top of it. But vitamin toxicity and liver failure as a result of vitamin toxicity is a real thing.
Oh
That
my
is why I
gosh.
say have caution with too many supplements.
Hmm. Thank you. What do
And
you
while you're
see?
at it, try to have some fun. While you're at it, try to have some fun, enjoy your life.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that
If
was
that
perfect
wasn't like
timing.
disturbing enough,
Try to have some fun in the meantime. You know, you
yeah.
do start to always feel like, what can I eat? What can I do? You know,
Yeah.
you can get overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh
would
my
say
God.
just when in doubt, go back to whole foods. on the back of a nutrition label, how they say, make sure that you can sort of pronounce most of the ingredients,
Yeah.
simple ingredients. That I think is the best, simplest rule of thumb that you can do. Have you looked at the back of a Pop Tart, like the ingredients in a Pop
Girl.
Tart?
Girl, that's why
There's
I
like
don't eat
50
Pops
of
any
them.
I don't eat Pop-Tarts anymore. I used to love me some Pop-Tarts. I look at the ingredients, I was like, I can't eat this. I don't even know,
Yeah, there's
like,
just too many.
it's this food
Now
product.
there are brands that make simpler versions of that, but I'm saying the classic one, there's a lot of
Yeah.
ingredients. I, you
Oh.
know,
Oh, I know, because
I,
we used to tear up some Pop-Tarts in here.
yeah. I
Yeah, put
haven't
them in
had
a
one in a
toaster,
while,
put butter
but
on the back. Have you ever
I
done
lived
that?
off them when I was in high school. No. I was a cold, like room temperature Pop Tart eater.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I was
I
a
liked it
toaster
when it was like
Pop-Tart
straight
eater.
out of the pack. Brown sugar cinnamon.
Okay, I was a frosted strawberry girl.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that about you.
Because you know what? The thing is, we grew up together, but we didn't grow up together. So, for the listeners,
Yeah.
we are 11 years apart. So, it's like our lives overlapped. Yes, we were living together. Yes, we
Mhm.
quote unquote grew up together, but our lives really overlapped. So, some of the stuff that I did happened before she got there or was old enough to pay attention. And some of the stuff she did, I may have been in college for or living my grown woman life for.
Right. So we really lived together for like 6 years,
Is
and
that
half
it?
of that I was like a baby. So
Wait a minute, let me see. Because 11, I was 11 when you were born. Then I left school for school at 17. You're right.
like I was only 5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I graduated in 2000. So how old were you then? 7.
7, yeah. Thanks for telling
Yeah,
my age, by
girl.
the way.
Everybody,
No,
go
I
do the
don't
math
care.
right now.
No, no, I don't
Oh
mind.
my
Um,
goodness.
but yeah, I just when I get patients and when I talk to anybody about nutrition, what I try to help people understand is the more complicated that it might seem, the more likely this is a gimmick, a quick fix, a
Yeah.
fad diet, or just marketing.
Yeah.
That is how I think it connects back to these around the world philosophies and blue zone
Yes.
living and stuff like that. It's just simplistic. I just think
Yes.
over the years it's been great that food companies and food industry has gotten very creative and very innovative and experimental basically on certain
Mhm.
things, but I don't think we have the research yet to know the long-term effects of some of those things. So
Right.
when in doubt, just go back to simple meals. If you want uh I don't know, a chicken stir fry with rice, you get your chicken, you get your sauce, you chop your vegetables, you stir fry them up, you make your rice. Boom. Instead of
Right.
getting that in a frozen package already. That I think is my number one piece of advice that I would give someone that wants to better their health. First step.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree. It's almost like we have to go backwards in order to go forward. We have to start
Right.
simplifying our lives. We have to start taking things off of our calendars. We need to start deconstructing our meals. We just need to kind of make things simpler and really just go back to basics and slow down.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we're like going backwards like that. I mean, when you think about it's weird because when you think about the future, we're moving so much forward with technology, which is really cool, you know.
Mhm.
But with our growing knowledge, we're discovering the power and the necessity of what has been here for ages, you know? It's like
Mhm.
we're going so
Yeah.
much forward mentally to realize that what we learned was here all along.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
So what do you think is the future, or what are you seeing? Because I know you have like the inside scoop on some new upcoming stuff. What is the future of nutrition and food? Like, what is on the cusp? Tell us something that we can look forward to, or something interesting that is on the horizon.
Oh, wow. Um, well, I think that organic foods are about to become more affordable. I don't know exactly how, but I think that more grocery stores like Aldi and Lidl are gonna start popping up. So anybody can have access to pesticide-free organic foods that come from high quality sources. So that's exciting.
Love that.
Um, yeah, I think that's on the horizon. When it comes to digestive health, I think this is not so much nutrition, but there are some new medical therapies that are coming out for patients with inflammatory bowel disease like Crohn's.
Mhm.
Um, because certain patients don't respond to a bunch of different medications and then they're just left with all these horrific symptoms. So the conference that I just went to, they talked about some more medical therapies that just help their diet work a lot better to absorb their nutrition. That's kind of what's up and coming in the GI world. Um, and then what else?
I mean, that was
I don't
great.
know. Yeah, I think, like you said, you made an excellent point about just how we're going to get back to basics, which I think is a good thing. I think that
Mhm.
whole food diets, whole food plant based diets, whole food pescatarian, or whatever your preferences are, is kind of coming back in style. So that means we're going to have more access to it and we're going to get healthier.
I love it.
So
I
win
love
win.
it. How in the world did we both end up basically giving people the same advice? Because you're so holistic in your approach to how you treat your patients and the things that I hear you talking about, and just the way you live your own life.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world, because you and I are so different
Mm-hmm.
in the way that the style, I wouldn't say the way that we approach life, but the style of our approach to life. Because I think we approach life
Hmm.
and family and all of that stuff the same way. We have the same opinions. We're always
Yeah.
tag teaming mommy. You know how mommy says the three of us get on the phone and she's like, "You guys get on the phone and you gang up on me."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are so similar. I mean, how did that happen? I mean, it has to be mommy.
Yeah. I mean, I just think we're just different versions of the same person, you know?
Yeah.
Just different versions. So, but I like we both bring something very unique to conversations with people. I think like if anybody has ever been cornered with both of us having a conversation,
Oh
like
my
it's very
gosh.
memorable. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Man,
I
and
think
you
it's a
just
good thing though.
it is a good thing. And cuz it's like we're out here delivering this stuff in different ways and do it because it's so great, like for instance to see you guys, Kayla just came back from Canada. So I'm calling her International K now because she just came back from, I mean, she's speaking all over the world now, talking about nutrition and these studies and these findings and stuff like that. And just to see you doing your public speaking thing, knowing that I've done my public speaking thing,
Yeah, that
and
is so cool.
I hadn't been into nutrition and wellness as much as I am, and
Mhm.
now I'm on your page with it's like we're overlapping each other now. When at first it was like I was very heavily public speaking and
Yeah.
you were very heavily health and nutrition. And now we're like blending into each other's arts.
Wow, that is such a good point. That's like kind of how we started, like growing up,
Yeah, what do you mean?
like overlapping, even though we're 11 years apart,
Oh
our stories
yeah.
overlap.
That is crazy.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. So you said it.
Well, you said we're different versions of the same person.
Yeah.
So we're both our moms somehow.
Yes, we are. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but the more I know we talked about this, the more that we try not to be exactly like her, the more we are. So that's that you can't escape from that one.
Especially as you get older and older, you're like, okay, look, I'm gonna have to stop acting like, looking like, sounding like my mom.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can't help it after a while. It just like a
You
second
can't.
nature. I don't
You
know.
can't. It's like that commercial where I don't know, it's like they go around saying all those mom things.
Yes, I love that. I don't even know the company that I think it's an insurance company.
You know what? They must have done a bad job advertising to us because we can't even remember the
I can remember
brand.
your commercials, but I cannot remember like what you're selling. Sorry, but if anyone knows, please. Are people able to comment?
Yes, they are able to comment.
Okay,
And
yeah,
please do comment, by the way. Give us
yeah.
a 5-star rating and leave us your thoughts about what you thought of this week's episode. And I'm also going to do a poll. I usually do like a poll question. So,
Okay.
what do you think the poll question should be about?
Oh wow.
If you can't think of anything, that's okay.
Well, I mean, since we're on the subject of diet and nutrition and things like that, maybe, what's one thing that you may have changed about your nutrition or your diet or your lifestyle that has been beneficial to you? One
Okay, I
thing,
like that one. I like that one.
because that could help other people too. Let's see.
Yes. And it's good for people to kind of take a moment to look back on something that has worked for them because that'll help with their mindset when it comes to food, also, because we're so used to
Mhm.
beating ourselves up. Sometimes
Yeah,
we need to think back to what has gone well, what has worked, what has been good.
right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, I thank you, Kayla. Thank
Of
you for
course.
having
Thank you
this
for having
conversation with me. This was really fun. We have to do this again because
me. Yeah.
I think that people are going to want you back on. They're probably going to be asking a ton of different questions that I didn't think to ask.
Okay. I'm game.
So, yes, I think it could be fun to do it again. And you know what? We should do something with some kind of recipe. Drop your favorite before we go.
Ooh.
Drop your favorite healthy recipe. Kayla, you tell me and I'll tell you, what is your favorite, like, hey, this is a one shot deal, this is one thing. If you're looking to get some health in, boom, this has a bunch of stuff.
Oh gosh, why do you put me on the spot like
Okay,
this?
while you're thinking about it, I will tell you one. And
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm stealing this directly from your brain
Oh god.
because I get like all the recipes that I love from you. So one
Okay.
of the favorite ones that you gave me was like a Mediterranean salad where it has couscous, chickpeas, parsley, tomatoes, red onion, Kalamata olive, and feta cheese. Of course, you know I
Oh.
eat vegan feta cheese. And that thing, you don't even need dressing. The salt that's in the cheese and the vinegar that's in the olives take care of that. Oh yeah, and cucumbers in it too. I forgot cucumber.
Oh my
That
gosh.
is
Yeah, that's
the
a good
best.
one.
Yes.
I'm gonna
And
say that that's my favorite too.
okay, we're on the same page because it hits all the marks, right?
It does. That's a complete meal.
Yes, and it has like it's bursting with different flavors.
Yeah, I gotta make that again.
Yes, girl. Okay, I know we will sit here and talk forever. So at least if we're going to talk forever, let's at least turn off this recording. So-
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a really, really cool experience, and I'm so proud of all the fabulous things that you're doing.
Thank you, sissy.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate you for coming on and for being candid and just for being cool. I want people to know that eating right, living well, being healthy, being happy is something that can be real in their world, and simple and fun. So I appreciate you bringing the simplicity to it. So until next time.
Yeah, until next time.
Yes, have to have you back again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And just like that, we're at the close of another enriching conversation here at the Bliss Code Podcast. A heartfelt thank you for tuning in and walking with us through this enlightening realm of health and wellness. My sister Kayla and I are both fired up about helping you become the architects of your own vibrantly healthy lives. If today's chat sparked a question, or if there's a topic you're burning to hear about, don't keep it to yourself. Send those queries our way at podcast@theblisscode.net. Yes, send us an email at podcast@theblisscode.net. We're already looking forward to our next wellness deep dive where your questions will take center stage. Speaking of experts, my platform is a beacon for those with wisdom to share in the holistic wellness space. If that's you, if you've got insights that can illuminate the path for others in their quantum lifestyle jumps, then let's connect. Reach out and let's explore the possibility of having you on as a guest on the Bliss Code podcast. Now, for those of you who have been asking about deeper dives, I have some really thrilling news. Our mini course, Vibrational Roleplay, Scripting Your Quantum Reality, is now live. It's your personal guidebook to embodying the epic lead in your life story. You can start that journey today by visiting our website at theblisscode.net. And that's just the beginning. December 1st marks a milestone for us, the launch of the Bliss Code Academy. As a founding member, your role is pivotal. Founding members aren't just early adopters. You're the trailblazers who help shape this vibrant community. The Bliss Code Academy is where you will unlock the fullest expression of your potential and craft a life of intention, wellness, and joy. Remember, becoming a part of the Bliss Code Academy means embracing a philosophy of life where transformation is not just possible, it's inevitable. You're not just investing in a program, you're stepping into a life where the best version of you takes the lead. For those ready to craft their epic tale, the time is now. Mark your calendars for December 1st. Save the date for our launch party at Celeb Studios right here in Columbia, South Carolina, and prepare to be a part of the movement that's redefining what it means to live a life in blissful color. Until next time, this is Jamie Drew, reminding you that the main character energy you bring to the world is not just a role you play, it's who you truly are. So step into your power, stay blissful, and stay tuned.